The stones came first, then the spit. Back away, curse bringer. Marka's aim was perfect, the pebble striking my shoulder as I pressed against the alley wall. The Heir's fever worsens because of you. I pulled my threadbare hood lower, counting my breaths in the old way, 3 heartbeats in, hold, 3 out, the only meditation an Omega was permitted to know. Today marked 7 years since the pack branded me with the cursed mark, 7 years since everything I touched withered, 7 years since they named me Lyra, the cursed one, abandoning my birth name. The lunar citadel's bells rang out in panic, brass voices screaming what we all knew. Prince Kale, the Alpha King's only heir, was dying. Move, wretch. A beta enforcer shoved past, his breath reeking of fear sweat. The healing chambers are sealed. No cursed Omega filth near the prince. I should have fled, should have taken the servants' tunnel back to the Omega quarters where I scrubbed floors and existed as nothing. But my feet moved toward the chaos instead, pulled by something deeper than wisdom. The main courtyard writhed with bodies, healers, guards, the ranked wolves of 5 territories, all summoned, all failing. Through the crowd, I glimpsed the grand stairs where Alpha King Thorn stood, his massive frame trembling. Beside him, his brother Valdris whispered poison-sweet words I couldn't hear. Then the crowd parted, and I saw him. Prince Kale, 16 summers old, convulsing on a crystal platform. His skin had turned the color of moonless nights, veins pulsing with something that wasn't blood anymore. The shadow rot, a curse that devoured young alphas from within. The antidote isn't working. Master Healer Severin's voice cracked. His wolf is rejecting everything. Then we failed, Valdris announced, loud enough for all. Perhaps it's time to discuss succession. The prince's scream shattered 3 windows. My curse mark burned like swallowed stars. The twisted scar on my neck, the Omega symbol crossed with the mark of misfortune, pulsed with heat that made my vision fracture. Suddenly, I could see it. Black threads wrapping around Kale's heart, tightening with each breath. But underneath, barely visible, a silver strand fighting to survive. I knew that silver. It lived in my blood, in the curse they all feared. No, I whispered, but my body moved anyway. I ran, past the guards who stood frozen in shock, through the ranked wolves who recoiled in horror, up those grand stairs where no Omega had ever walked. "Stop her!" Valdris roared. "She'll kill him with her curse!" Beta guards lunged. I dropped, sliding under their grasp. My Omega flexibility the only advantage I'd ever possessed. My hands found Kael's chest before anyone could stop me. The moment we touched, the world exploded. Not outward, inward. Every curse I'd swallowed, every misfortune I'd absorbed from the pack over 7 years, rushed toward that shadow eating him alive. My curse recognized its kin, and attacked with 7 years of pent-up hunger. Kael's eyes snapped open, pure, molten gold meeting my common brown. His alpha voice, despite his youth, rang in my mind. "You're not what they think you are." Then his hand caught mine, and he spoke aloud. "She's mine." The silence that followed could have buried mountains. The Alpha King's heir, dying moments ago, sat up. The shadow rot retreated from his veins, like smoke fleeing dawn. And he held my scarred hand like it was precious. "Impossible," Master Severin breathed. "The curse-bearer healed him?" But I saw Alpha King Thorn's eyes, ice blue and calculating, lock onto the place where Kale gripped my fingers. I saw Valdris's fury transform into something worse interest. And in that moment of perfect stillness, the moon appeared in broad daylight, full and impossible, staring down at us all. The moon's eye opened. Not the moon itself that would be madness, but something within it, timeless and aware, turned its gaze upon the courtyard. The temperature dropped 20 degrees. Breath became mist. And every wolf, from Alpha to Omega, dropped to their knees, except me. I couldn't kneel because Prince Kael wouldn't release my hand, and something in his touch made my bones feel like iron, unbendable. The lunar witness? Someone whispered. It hasn't manifested in 300 years. The eye in the moon blinked, and suddenly I wasn't in the courtyard anymore. I stood in a space between spaces, silver mist curling around my ankles. Kael stood beside me, but not the dying boy from moments ago. This was his wolf soul, powerful beyond his years. Show me. The moon's voice didn't speak, it simply was. Show me why the cursed one's touch saves rather than destroys. Images flooded unbidden. My mother, dying as she birthed me under a blackened moon. The pack's horror when flowers died in my infant hands. The day they marked me, burning the cursed Omega brand into my neck. 7 years of isolation, 7 years of blame for every misfortune. But also the sick who recovered after I cleaned their rooms. The failing crops that grew after I was blamed and banished from the fields. The way unfortunate events always preceded fortune, like winter before spring. Interesting, the moon mused. They marked you cursed, but you're the opposite. You're a void Omega one, who absorbs misfortune so others might prosper. The rarest kind. That's not possible, I said aloud, back in the real courtyard, everyone staring. Void Omegas are myths. Look at your mark, Kael commanded, his voice stronger now. The cursed brand on my neck was changing. The crude scar tissue smoothed into something else, a crescent moon cradling a star, the mark of Luna. But that was insane. Lunas were chosen from the highest bloodlines, the strongest she-wolves, not rejected Omegas who cleaned floors. No, Valdris stepped forward, his perfectly controlled mask cracking. The succession laws are clear. The heir's mate must be of proper rank. The moon pulsed. Once, Valdris flew backward, slamming into a pillar. When he stood, blood ran from his nose, the first time anyone had seen the king's brother bleed. The moon chooses. Alpha King Thorn spoke for the first time, his voice carrying absolute authority. And it seems she's chosen her. But his eyes held no warmth. Calculation, yes. Assessment, certainly. But also something else, fear? Of me? That made no sense. Take her to the Luna Tower, he commanded. Place guards, for her, protection. Kael's hand tightened on mine. Through that touch, his voice whispered in my mind, don't trust anyone, not even my father. You don't know what you've just walked into. Your Highness, a silk-smooth voice interrupted. Perhaps the Omega needs time to adjust. Ravenna Silvercrest stood at the courtyard's edge, the most powerful she-wolf in 5 territories, Valdris's chosen candidate for Luna. Her silver eyes held mine with naked hatred. After all, she continued, we wouldn't want any unfortunate accidents. Omegas are so fragile. The threat was clear, but something else caught my attention, a scent clinging to her, nightshade and shadow rot, the same poison that had been killing Kael. My curse mark flared with heat, and everyone stepped back. For the first time in 7 years, they feared me for a reason besides superstition. And I realized saving the heir was only the beginning. The Luna Tower hadn't been opened in 50 years. Watch the 13th step, Guard Captain Idris warned, though his voice held contempt. The last Luna died on it. Pushed, some say. I counted each step anyway, my Omega training screaming that I didn't belong here. The tower spiraled impossibly high, its walls decorated with portraits of previous Lunas, all highborn, all powerful, and all dead before their time. Fitting quarters for a curse-bearer, Idris muttered. The tower's been nothing but death since... Since what? I asked, breaking my usual silence. His scarred face went pale. Since the last Void Omega lived here. The words hit like ice water. There was another? 100 years ago. Luna Nix. She absorbed the pack's misfortunes until it killed her. Or so the stories say. He stopped at an ornate door. Your chamber, Lady Lyra. Try not to destroy anything valuable. The room took my breath away. Moonlight streamed through crystal windows, illuminating silk tapestries and furniture worth more than my entire bloodline. But my attention fixed on the portrait above the fireplace. It could have been me. Same wild, dark hair, same desperate eyes, same cursed mark on her throat, except hers had already transformed into the Luna's crescent. Luna Nix, I whispered. The portrait's eyes moved. Finally, a voice spoke in my mind, different from Kael's, weary yet urgent. Another void comes to finish what I started. I stumbled backward, knocking into someone. Warm hands steadied me, Kael. But not the boy prince. This was his wolf, form walking upright, 7 feet of lethal grace. You shouldn't be here, I gasped. If your father... My father's the reason I'm here. His golden eyes held storms. That shadow rot wasn't random. Someone's been poisoning me slowly for years. Only a void Omega could have seen through it. Ravenna, I said. She smells like death. I know. He moved closer, and my curse mark responded, heating until it burned. But she's not working alone. There's something you need to know about the night you were marked as cursed. He pulled out a leather journal, its pages yellow with age. This was my mother's. She died when I was 3, but she was a seer. She wrote about a prophecy before her death. I read the elegant script. When the moon bleeds black and the air falls to shadow, the cursed Omega shall rise. She who absorbs misfortune will become fortune itself. But beware the hollow crown, for brother shall turn against brother, and only the void can reveal truth from lies. The Ford AEZ, end of N.A. Moon bled black the night you were born, Kael said softly. My mother saw you in visions. That's why they marked you, not because you were cursed, but because they feared what you'd become. Who feared me? The same person who's been poisoning me, the same one who killed my mother. His claws extended slightly. My Uncle Valdris, and he's not done. A knock shattered the moment. Prince Kael, your father demands your presence. Kael shifted back to human form so fast it made me dizzy. Before leaving, he pressed something into my palm, a silver ring with a wolf's head. Wear this. It was my mother's. It'll protect you from most poisons. His fingers lingered on mine. Trust no one else. The servants here answer to Valdris. The guards want you dead. And my father. He has his own agenda. Then why trust you? He smiled, sad and beautiful. Because when you touched me, when you pulled that poison out, our souls recognized each other. You're not just my mate, Lyra. You're my salvation, and I'm yours. The moment he left, the portrait spoke again. He's right to warn you, but he doesn't know the whole truth. The Void Omega isn't just Luna, she's something more. And when you discover what, the whole pack structure will collapse. What am I? The beginning of the end, or the end of the beginning? That choice comes at the next full moon, 3 days away. The first assassination attempt came with breakfast. My wolf sensed it before I did that new part of me awakening since the moon's touch. The porridge smelled of almonds and grief, cyanide elegantly masked with honey. Delicious, I said to the serving girl, then fed it to the potted moonflower by the window. The plant withered instantly, its silver petals turning black. The girl's eyes widened. I didn't know. That I'd survive? I touched her hand gently, letting my void nature taste her truth. She was terrified, not guilty. Who gave you the tray? The head servant, Madame Crane, she said. The girl trembled. She said you'd bring misfortune to us all if you lived. Within hours, whispers spread that Madame Crane had vanished. Not dead, simply gone, as if she'd never existed. Someone was cleaning house, removing witnesses. Interesting development, Valdris said from my doorway, entering without invitation. Servants disappearing mysteriously around the new Luna-to-be. I didn't. I know. His smile was winter cold. You don't have the stomach for murder. Yet. He circled me like a predator. Do you know why shadow rot is particularly cruel, little void? I stayed silent, my omega instincts screaming submission while my new nature snarled defiance. It's not really a poison, he continued. It's essence of void wolf creatures that exist between life and death. Only someone with void blood can survive it, or cure it. His eyes glinted. Your mother knew that when she bred with one. The world tilted. What? Oh, the naive little Omega doesn't know her parentage? His laugh was poison. Your father wasn't some common wolf who died in battle. He was the last void alpha, my father's bastard, which makes you, dear niece, and royal blood. Diluted, rejected, but royal nonetheless. You're lying. Am I? He pulled out a silver mirror, ornate and gleaming. Look at yourself. Really look. I stared at my reflection and gasped. My brown eyes now held flecks of silver. My unmarked skin showed faint patterns, moon phases tracking across my arms. The curse mark had spread, becoming something beautiful and terrible. You're changing, Valdris observed. The moon's blessing is awakening your true nature. Soon you'll be too powerful to control, too dangerous to live. He paused at the door. Ask yourself why my brother really accepts you as Luna. It's not kindness. The Alpha King hasn't been kind since his first mate died. After he left, I touched the portrait of Luna Nyx. Is it true? Am I? Royal blood cursed to be Omega. Yes, your mother hid you. Among commoners, suppressed your nature with herbs and bindings. But when you saved the heir, you broke those seals. Why did she hide me? Because the prophecy says a void heir will either save the bloodline or end it. Your grandfather, the old Alpha King, ordered all void children killed. Your mother ran. But Valdris is my uncle. Why poison Kale? Ask the right question, child. Not why poison the heir. Why let you cure him? The realization hit like ice. It was a trap. Valdris wanted me to reveal myself, wanted me to save Kale publicly, triggering the moon's blessing. But why? A scream echoed from below, young, terrified, familiar. I ran to the window. In the courtyard, Kale writhed on the ground, that same shadow creeping through his veins. But he'd been healthy hours ago. This was too fast, too aggressive. Round 2, Valdris called up to me. But this time, the whole pack is watching. Save him again and confirm what you are. Let him die and lose the moon's blessing. Choose, quickly, niece. The trap's jaws were closing, and I finally understood Valdris didn't want me dead. He wanted me to become something specific, something prophesied, something monstrous. I leaped from the 3rd-story window. The assembled pack gasped as I fell, my omega bones supposedly too weak for such a drop. But something had changed in my muscles, my blood. I landed in a crouch, barely feeling the impact. She flies like the cursed, someone shouted. Like the blessed, another countered. Kale's convulsions worsened. This wasn't shadow rot, it was something else. His wolf was fighting to emerge, but couldn't, trapped between forms. Torture designed to break an alpha's mind. Don't touch him! Ravenna Silvercrest materialized beside me, her perfect features twisted with false concern. The Omega's curse caused this relapse. I can heal him properly. She reached for Kale with silver-gloved hands. The crowd murmured. Approval here was a proper Luna candidate, high-born and trained. But I smelled the lie on her. Wolfsbane and bitter mercury, the scent of the substance keeping Kale trapped between forms. You're killing him, I snarled, my voice carrying power it never had before. Careful, cursed one. Ravenna's smile was razors. Accusing a Silvercrest of murder requires proof. Then I challenge you. The words erupted from somewhere deep, somewhere primal. The crowd went silent. An Omega challenging a highborn she-wolf was unheard of. It was law-breaking. It was accepted. Alpha King Thorn's voice rumbled from the palace steps. Trial by moon's gaze. Ravenna paled. Your Majesty, surely tradition dictates. Tradition dictates the accused can choose the trial form. His ice-blue eyes fixed on me with calculation. But the challenger chooses the stakes. What do you demand if you win, Omega? The truth, I said, about everything. The real reason Kale is dying. Who killed his mother? Why Valdris wants me to transform. Gasps rippled through the Pison. Crowd. I'd just accused the king's brother of conspiracy. Thorn's expression didn't change. And if you lose? She forfeits her Luna claim and submits to execution. Ravenna answered quickly. For sedition and false accusation. Agreed, I said, though my Omega instinct screamed. The trial circle formed instantly, wolves creating a perfect ring. Moon's gaze meant something worse than combat. Both participants would touch the afflicted and channel their essence. The moon would judge who spoke truth through pain. The liar would burn from within. Ravenna went first, her silver gloves conducting power into Kale's thrashing form. Light poured from her, beautiful and cold. The crowd oohed as his convulsions slowed. See? She proclaimed. I heal while the Omega only... Kyle screamed, his body contorting impossibly. Whatever she was channeling wasn't healing, it was feeding the poison, making it stronger. My turn. I knelt beside him, pulling off the gloves I'd been given, placing bare palms on his chest. The moment we connected, I understood everything. There were two poisons. The shadow rot from before, yes, but also something else, moondust, a substance that only affected those with royal blood. It had been in him since birth, dormant until triggered. Someone's been poisoning him since he was an infant, I announced, my void nature unraveling the toxic threads. Small doses in his milk, his food, building up over 16 years. I pulled the poisons into myself, my cursed blood consuming them. But as I did, memories came with them, not mine, not Kael's, but the poisoner's. I saw Thorn, young and desperate, adding drops to his infant son's bottles. I saw him arguing with his mate, the queen, who discovered his secret. I saw him pushing her from the Luna Tower's 13th step. No, I gasped, but the visions kept coming. The Alpha King had been slowly killing his own son, not from cruelty, but from fear, because Kale wasn't just his heir, he was something else, something the prophecy warned about, a true Alpha, born under an eclipse, destined to either unite all packs or destroy them, and Thorn had chosen destruction over loss of power. Interesting, the Alpha King said calmly as I revealed his darkest secret, but incomplete. Tell them the rest, Omega. Tell them what you saw about yourself. Through the poisoned memories, I'd seen one more thing. My mother, heavily pregnant, meeting with Queen Lysa before her death, making a pact. If my son manifests as true Alpha, the Queen had said, your void daughter will be his only anchor. Promise me she'll survive to save him. My mother had promised, then hidden me among the Omegas, suppressing my nature until the time came. That time was now. The moon turned red. Not gradually, in one heartbeat, the afternoon sun vanished, and a crimson moon blazed overhead. Every wolf in the courtyard dropped, submitting to celestial fury. But I remained standing, the poisoned memories still flooding. Through me, and Kale rose beside me. His eyes weren't gold anymore. They were molten silver, the mark of a true Alpha. Finally, he said, but his voice carried harmonics that shouldn't exist. The last seal breaks. Power erupted from him, not normal Alpha dominance, but something that rewrote reality around us. The stones beneath our feet transformed to moonstone. The air itself became visible, silver threads connecting every wolf to him, and to me. You fed him royal poison for 16 years, Kyle said to his father, who knelt trembling. Knowing it would either kill me or trigger my evolution, you gambled on death. The prophecy, Thorn began, says a true alpha united with a void Luna will remake the world. Kale's power pulsed, and several wolves shifted involuntarily. You feared change more than you loved your son. And you, he turned to Valdris, who was trying to crawl away. You knew. You poisoned me with shadow rot to force Lyra's hand, to make her reveal herself. Because you need a void Omega's power for something. Valdris laughed, his mask finally cracking completely. Not something. Everything. The barriers between territories are failing. The old magics die. Soon, ferals will overrun us all. Unless we have a void to absorb the chaos, to act as a filter between worlds. He stood, defiant. I did what was necessary. You orchestrated everything, I said, understanding flooding through me. My mother's death, my marking as cursed, Kale's poisoning, all to create this moment. The moon chooses, Valdris spat. But choice can be guided. And look, it worked. Here you stand, power awakening, exactly as the prophecy foretold. He was right. I could feel it, my void nature expanding, hungry for misfortune to devour. Every negative emotion in the courtyard called to me. Fear, anger, betrayal, pain. I could absorb it all, make it mine. Transform it into power. Don't, Kale warned, but I was already moving. I touched Thorn first, pulling 16 years of guilt from him. Then Valdris, extracting decades of ambition and cruelty. Ravenna next, her jealousy and murderous intent. One by one, I drained the darkness from every wolf present. It was ecstasy. It was agony. It was transformation. My curse mark spread across my entire body, creating a map of silver lines. My brown hair turned white as moonlight. My eyes became voids, literally empty spaces that absorbed light. Stop! Kale grabbed me, and I felt his true alpha power clash with my void nature. You're taking too much. But I couldn't stop. This was what I was made for, to be a repository for all the pack's darkness. To suffer so they could thrive. The perfect Omega, the perfect sacrifice. No, Luna Nyx's voice screamed in my mind. This is how I died. Don't repeat my mistake. You're not meant to absorb the darkness, you're meant to transform it. Into what? I gasped, drowning in accumulated misfortune. Into power, into change, into hope. That's what void Omegas really tupline. Do. We don't just take darkness, we alchemize it. Kale's arms wrapped around me, his true alpha essence merging with my void nature. Together, he whispered, we transform it together. The red moon pulsed once, and everything changed. The transformation wasn't what anyone expected. Instead of exploding outward, our combined powers imploded, creating a sphere of absolute silence around us. Inside that sphere, I could see everything past, present, and 1,000 possible futures branching like a tree of light. Choose. The moon spoke through both of us. Remake or destroy, heal or punish, rise or fall. Through our merged consciousness, I saw the truth of the pack's structure. It wasn't just corrupt, it was dying. The rigid hierarchies, the oppression of Omegas, the hoarding of power by alphas, it had created a spiritual rot that attracted the ferals Valdris feared. We could burn it all, Kale whispered, his true alpha power ready to reshape reality. Start fresh and kill. Thousands, I replied, feeling every wolf's life force through my void nature. They're not all guilty. Then what? The sphere cracked, and through those cracks, I saw them ferals gathering at the territory borders. Not dozens. Hundreds. They'd been waiting for this moment of vulnerability. The barrier's falling, a guard screamed. He was right. The magical walls that protected our lands were dissolving, our internal conflict weakening the primordial wards. The ferals would be here within minutes. Choose quickly, Thorn said, and for the first time, I heard genuine fear in the Alpha King's voice. Whatever you are now, we need you to die, Valdris interrupted, pulling out a blade that reeked of wolfsbane and silver. The prophecy has another verse you haven't heard. When void and true unite, they must choose. Sacrifice the one to save the many, or damn the many to save the one. He lunged at me, but Kael moved faster, taking the blade in his chest. Silver and wolfsbane fatal to any wolf, even a true alpha. No! My scream shattered every window in the palace. The void in me erupted, pulling not just darkness but life force from everything around me. Grass withered, trees aged centuries. Wolves collapsed as I drained their energy. But Kael was still dying. Interesting choice, Valdris gasped from where my power had thrown him. Save your mate and become the monster everyone believes you are, or let him die and keep your soul clean. Through my void sight, I could see Kael's life force bleeding out, mixing with the silver poison. I could absorb it, take his death into myself. But that much concentrated death would transform me into something else, a void wolf, neither living nor dead. There's another way, Luna Nyx's spirit manifested, fully visible now, but it requires both of you to surrender your current forms. Speak quickly, I begged, cradling Kael's trembling body. Don't absorb his death, share your life. Become one entity, neither fully wolf nor human, neither fully void nor true. A bridge between all states. That's never been done, Ravenna protested. It's impossible. So was a true alpha and void Luna existing in the same generation, Nyx countered. Yet here you are. The ferals howled at our borders, their hunger palpable. The pack cowered, leaderless and terrified. And Kael's heartbeat grew weaker. Together, he whispered, blood bubbling from his lips. We do everything together now. I pressed my forehead to his, letting our essences mix completely. Not just bonding, becoming. The silver poison met my void nature and transformed into something else. The darkness I'd absorbed from the pack met his true alpha light and alchemized into pure potential. Stop them, Valdris commanded, but it was too late. We were changing, evolving, and becoming the answer to a question the moon had been asking for centuries. What happens when destruction and creation become one? The ferals broke through our borders. And we opened our eyes, not two sets, but one pair shared between two bodies that were no longer quite separate. We had become something unprecedented. We moved as one creature with two forms. When my body stepped left, Kael's stepped right. When he raised his hand, I lowered mine. Perfect synchronization that made the watching pack recoil in primal fear. Abomination, someone whispered. Evolution, we corrected, our voices harmonizing. The ferals flooded the courtyard, twisted wolves driven mad by hunger, their humanity dissolved. But through our shared sight, we saw what others couldn't. Threads of pain connecting them all to a single source. They're not random ferals, we announced. They're manufactured. Every eye turned to Valdris, who stood frozen, his plan unraveling. For years you've been creating them, we continued, our void truth power revealing his deceptions, taking omegas from border villages, experimenting with forced transformations, building an army for this moment. The pack needed evolution, Valdris snarled. The old ways are dying. I created a crisis to force change. You created genocide, we replied. The ferals attacked, but touching us was like grasping smoke and lightning simultaneously. Where Kael's true alpha power commanded, my void nature absorbed. We didn't fight them, we healed them. Each feral we touched remembered their name. Their humanity sparked back to life, the manufactured madness dissolving. But each healing cost us. We were literally sharing pieces of our merged soul to restore theirs. "You're killing yourselves," Ravenna observed with satisfaction. "There are too many." She was right. We'd healed 12. Hundreds remained. Then we changed the game, we decided. We reached not for the ferals, but for the pack itself. Every wolf watching, from Alpha to Omega, suddenly felt our consciousness touch theirs. Not dominating, inviting. "Share," we asked. "Not your darkness for us to absorb, but your light, for them to remember." "That's not how pack bonds work," Thorn protested. "It is now." The moon spoke through us. One by one, wolves began to glow. Omegas first, they understood sacrifice. Then betas, then even some alphas. Each wolf offered a single memory of joy, of love, of humanity at its best. We became conduits, taking those memories and threading them into the feral's broken minds, not healing through power, but through shared experience. Impossible, Valdris breathed as his manufactured army began remembering themselves. But the process was fragmenting us. Existing as one entity while channeling hundreds of experiences was shredding the boundary between Kale and Lyra. We were forgetting where one ended and the other began. "Hold on," Kale's voice, separate for a moment. "Remember us. Remember why we chose this." Through the chaos, I found it that first moment when he'd held my hand in the courtyard, when we were still two distinct people who chose to be together. "I remember." I gasped. The fusion stabilized but changed. We were still bonded, still synchronized, but not dissolved into one. Two souls sharing space while maintaining identity. The true Luna bond. Luna Nyx's spirit laughed. "I tried to become one with my mate. You've learned to be two who move as one. That's the real evolution." 3/4 of the ferals were healed, but the remainder, the oldest, most twisted ones, resisted. Their humanity was too far gone. "Some transformations can't be reversed," we admitted sadly. "Then kill them," Thorn commanded. "It's mercy." "No," we said. "We transform them into something else." Using our merged power, we offered them a choice: death or becoming guardians. They would remain partially feral, forever changed, but bound to protect the borders they'd once threatened. Not punishment purpose, most chose purpose. "This is not the pack law," Valdris said weakly, his plans dust. "No," we agreed. "It's the new law. Omegas are no longer servants but healers. Alphas no longer rule by dominance but by wisdom. Betas no longer simply obey but collaborate. The hierarchy dies today." We turned to the assembled pack. Who agrees? The vote wasn't unanimous. Some alphas resisted. Some omegas feared change. But when the moon pulsed overhead, now silver-white instead of red, the message was clear. "Change or perish. You've doomed us all." Valdris laughed bitterly. "Without hierarchy, we're just animals." "With rigid hierarchy, we were dying," we countered. "Now we evolve." But even as we spoke, we felt it something stirring, awakened by our transformation. Something that had been waiting for the pack structure to weaken. The first wolf was coming. The ground split like broken bones. From the fissure rose something that predated language, the first wolf. Neither fully corporeal nor spirit. Its eyes held the birth of the moon itself. Children. It spoke in frequencies that made marrow ache. "You've broken the Payam Siam, Itam covenant." Every wolf healed feral, and human dropped prostrate. But we remained standing, our fused nature somehow resistant to primordial dominance. "The covenant was killing us," we replied. "The covenant maintained order." The first wolf circled us, its form shifting between wolf, human, and something incomprehensible. Hierarchy isn't cruelty, it's survival. Without it, you're prey to older hungers. Through our void sight, We saw what it meant. Beyond our reality, pressing against dimensional walls, were things that made ferals look tame. Entities that fed on chaos, on societies without structure. You opened the door, the first wolf continued. By breaking pack law, you've invited them in. Then we'll face them. Kale's voice dominated our response. You? The first wolf laughed. Sound like breaking worlds. You're hours old in your new form. They're eternal. It stopped, sniffing the air. Its eyes widened the first emotion besides superiority it had shown. No, you didn't just break the covenant. You rewrote it. It stared at our merged form with something like fear. You're not just true Alpha and Void Luna. You're becoming something else. Through our shared consciousness, we felt it too, a third strand weaving through our bond. Not KL's power, not my void nature, but something generated by their fusion. Genesis Wolf, the first breathed. The power to create new realities, new laws, new types of existence itself. That's impossible, Thorn said. Genesis wolves are creator myths. Look at them, the first snarled. They breathe impossibility. As if responding to its words, our merged form began changing. Not shifting, evolving. We grew neither larger nor smaller, but somehow more. Our shadows spread in directions that didn't exist. Our eyes reflected not just this world, but all possible worlds. This is why. Valdris laughed from where he lay broken. The prophecy's hidden verse. When Genesis wakes, all hierarchies break. The choice becomes not who rules, but what remains real. You knew? We asked. I suspected. Every crisis, every manipulation, I was trying to prevent this. Genesis wolves don't just change reality. They choose which reality survives. The dimensional walls cracked further. Through them, we glimpsed the devourer's entities of pure entropy that consumed structured realities. They'd been waiting for someone to break the covenant, to create an opening. So we chose wrong? I asked through our merged voice. There is no wrong, the first wolf said sadly. Only consequences. You can maintain the old reality with its hierarchies and slow death, or birth a new one and face the devourers. Genesis means choice, terrible, absolute choice. How long do we have? The walls will fall completely at the next moonrise. 6 hours. 6 hours to decide the nature of reality itself. 6 hours to either revolution or restoration. 6 hours to prove evolution could defeat entropy. There's another option. Luna Nyx's spirit interjected, surprising even the first wolf. Genesis wolves don't have to choose one reality. They can merge them. That would require... The first stopped, understanding dawning. No, the sacrifice is too great. What sacrifice? We demanded. Genesis power can merge realities, create hybrid worlds where multiple truths coexist. But doing so requires the Genesis wolf to fragment exist partially in each reality, never whole in any. Through our bond, I felt KL's refusal before he voiced it. We just found each other. I won't. It's not about us anymore, I said gently through our shared form. It never was. The pack watched us, terrified and hopeful. The healed ferals waited, their new purpose uncertain. The devourers pressed against weakening walls, and we stood at the crossroads of existence itself, Genesis power burning in our merged bones. The moon rose black, not dark absent, a hole in the sky that drank light, the devourer's first manifestation. Through our Genesis sight, we watched reality's walls dissolve like sugar in rain. Everyone into the circles, Kale commanded through our voice. We'd spent 3 hours preparing ritual rings drawn with our mixed blood, each one a different possible reality we could choose. Circle 1. The old ways restored, hierarchy reinforced, safety through tradition. Circle 2. Complete revolution, no ranks at all, freedom through chaos. Circle 3. The merger, multiple realities overlapping, infinite possibility. The pack split. Most alphas chose Circle 1. The omegas fled to Circle 2. Only a handful stood in Circle 3, the uncertain, the brave, the desperate. Choose now. The first wolf howled as devourers began pouring through not creatures but concepts, entropy given hunger, ending given form. Through our Genesis power, we could see the consequences of each choice. Circle 1 would save the pack but condemn us to slow death, the same problems recycling forever. Circle 2 would free everyone, but leave us defenseless against greater threats. Circle 3 would create something unprecedented, but require us to exist fractured across all realities simultaneously. There's a fourth option, I realized through our bond. What? Kale asked. We don't choose for them. We let each wolf choose their own reality. That's not, the first wolf began. Genesis makes it possible, we interrupted. Instead of one reality for all, we create a multiverse where each wolf exists in their chosen truth. That would shatter you completely, it warned. You'd exist in every reality, holding them together, but never whole, never together. Through our bond, I felt Kale's heart break. We'd just found each other, just become something beautiful, to fragment now. Unless, Luna Nix suggested, you become the bridge itself, not fragmented but stretched, existing fully in the spaces between realities. The void between, I breathed, understanding. The true connection, Kale added. We didn't need to discuss. Moving as one, we stepped into the center where all circles intersected. Our Genesis power erupted, not choosing one reality, but weaving them all together like threads in a cosmic tapestry. The devourers struck, but we absorbed them through my void nature. Not destroying, transforming. They became the energy that powered the transformation. Every wolf began to glow, then split not into pieces but into versions, each existing in their chosen reality while still connected to the whole. Impossible, Valdris gasped as he watched himself divide into 3, one still plotting in the traditional reality, one redeemed in the revolutionary one balanced between in the merged world. But holding it together was agony. We felt ourselves stretching, spreading, becoming less solid and more conceptual. We were becoming the structure itself rather than beings within it. Hold on, the pack cried as one, finally unified in purpose if not in form. Their combined will fed us strength. Together, every version of every wolf chanted. We choose together. The black moon cracked, revealing silver beneath not one moon but 3, each reflecting a different reality. The devourers, transformed into creative force, sealed the new structure. We'd done it. Created a multiverse where every wolf could exist in their truth while remaining part of the whole. But the cost. I can barely feel you, Kale whispered through what remained of our bond. I'm here, I promised. Always here, just differently. We existed now as the connection between all realities together but apart, touching but not merged, eternal but never solid. The first wolf bowed, the first time it had shown submission in eons. You've become what I could never be. Not rulers but facilitators, not power but possibility itself. We existed everywhere and nowhere. In reality 1, where tradition held, I was the Omega Luna who served alongside Alpha King Kale, our love forbidden but unbroken. We ruled through established laws, slowly changing minds through example rather than revolution. In reality 2, where hierarchy dissolved, we were simply Lyra and Kale, equals among equals, building consensus through earned respect rather than inherited power. In reality 3, where realities merged, we were something unprecedented quantum beings who shifted between forms as needed. Sometimes alpha, sometimes Omega, sometimes neither, always ourselves. But our true selves existed in the spaces between, in the void that connected all possibilities. There, we could truly touch, truly be together, though only for heartbeats before duty pulled us back to maintaining the structure. "This is harder than dying," Kyle said during one of our brief meetings in the void. "But more meaningful than living," I replied, feeling every wolf in every reality through our stretched consciousness. 3 months passed. The multiverse structure held but required constant adjustment. Some wolves learned to slip between realities, visiting other versions of themselves. Others remained fixed, content in their chosen truth. Then we felt it a disturbance that threatened everything we'd built. The originators, the first wolf, appeared in the void, fear crackling through its form. "They've noticed what you've done. They're coming to unmake it." The originators, beings that existed before reality itself, who viewed our multiverse as cosmic vandalism. They didn't destroy, they simply reverted things to never having existed. "How do we fight them?" Kale asked. "You don't," the first said. "You can only offer them something more interesting than unmaking you." Through our stretched consciousness, we felt them approaching not through space but through concept. They were unmaking the idea of our existence, working backwards through time. "Wait," I said, revelation striking. "They're not destroyers, they're editors. They remove what doesn't fit the cosmic narrative." "So we need to prove we fit," Kale understood immediately. "We reached out to every wolf in every reality. Choose again, not which reality to live in, but whether our existence should continue. Vote with your full being." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Not just agreement, but active participation. Every wolf, from the most traditional alpha to the most revolutionary omega, poured their essence into a single message. We choose to exist. All versions, all possibilities. Because choice itself is sacred. The originators paused, intrigued. Through our Genesis power, we showed them something they'd never seen, a species that had chosen its own evolution, created its own multiverse, become its own myth. "Interesting," they conveyed without words. "You've made existence more complex. We appreciate complexity." Instead of unmaking us, they did something unexpected. They strengthened the structure, weaving our multiverse into the greater cosmic tapestry. We became not just a local phenomenon, but a universal principle, the right to choose one's own reality. "You're no longer Genesis wolves," the originators declared. "You're architects of choice. Your duty extends beyond your pack, beyond your species. You must help others find their own multiplicities." The burden should have been crushing. Instead, it felt like purpose. "Together?" I asked Kale across the void. "Always," he replied. "In every reality, in every form, in every choice." We kissed not physically, but essentially, our souls touching across infinite possibilities. When we pulled apart, we saw them. Other species, other worlds, reaching out for their own transformation. Our story was becoming their beginning. 1 year later, in Reality 1, a cursed Omega girl hid in the shadows of the Luna Palace, watching the anniversary celebration. "You were me," she whispered as I passed, my ceremonial robes catching moonlight. I stopped, seeing myself in her, marked, rejected, terrified. "I still am, in some realities." "What's your name?" "Senna. They say I'm cursed because plants die when I sing." Through my void sight, I saw the truth. Not cursed, she was a harmony wolf whose voice could reshape living matter. The plants didn't die, they transformed too quickly for normal eyes to follow. "Come with me," I said, leading her to the courtyard where Kale waited. In this reality, we'd established the trial of choice any wolf could request to see their other possibilities, their other selves. Most were too afraid. But occasionally, "Show her," Kale commanded gently. We touched Senna's hands together, and her consciousness expanded across realities. She saw herself as a revolutionary leader in reality 2, a quantum healer in reality 3, and in the void between a guardian of songs that could birth new worlds. "I don't understand," she gasped. "You don't have to," we said together. "You just have to choose. Stay as you are, transform into something new, or exist. Between all possibilities. The choice is yours." She looked at the assembled pack, all watching with remembrance of their own choices. Even Valdris, who in this reality had become our strangest ally, nodded encouragement. "What did you choose?" Senna asked us. "Everything," we admitted. And the price was never being whole in any one place. But the reward was discovering that wholeness itself is an illusion. We're all fragments of greater possibilities. That night, Senna chose to walk between realities. The fourth wolf to do so since we'd created the multiverse. As she transformed, spreading across possibilities, we guided her through the pain of multiplication. "It hurts," she cried. "Growth always does." I remembered my mother saying, finally understanding her sacrifice. Later, in the void between, Kale and I met as we did each night fully ourselves for just a moment. "How many more?" he asked, looking at the streams of consciousness reaching toward us from distant worlds. "All of them, eventually," I replied. "Every trapped soul, every rigid structure, every being told they have to be one thing." "We'll fragment completely one day," he said, not sadly but with acceptance. "Spread so thin we won't even remember being individuals." Maybe that's the point. Maybe individuality is just a step toward something greater. We watched the 3 moons dance overhead tradition, revolution, and synthesis. Our pack thrived in all realities, each wolf living their truth while remaining connected to the whole. "Do you regret it?" Kale asked. We could have chosen simplicity. One reality, one form, one life together. "Look," I said, gesturing to the infinite threads connecting infinite wolves across infinite possibilities. We didn't choose one life together. We chose all lives together. We chose everything. Through our stretched consciousness, we felt it new Genesis wolves awakening on distant worlds, inspired by our choice. The originators had been right. We'd become more than a local phenomenon. We'd become a principle, the right to be multiple, the power to choose complexity, the beauty of existing in between. "They still call me cursed," I laughed, remembering the frightened Omega I'd been. "They're not wrong. I'm cursed to see every possibility, to exist in every form, to never be satisfied with just one truth. And I'm cursed to love every version of you," Kale replied, pulling me close in the one place we could truly touch. As dawn approached in reality 1, noon in reality 2, and eternal twilight in reality 3, we prepared to return to our duties stretched but not broken, apart but never separated, cursed and blessed to be everything at once. The rejected Omega had become the eternal Luna. The saved Heir had become the infinite Alpha. And our love existed not despite the complexity, but because of it. In the distance, another cursed wolf howled for help. Time to begin again.